Good morning, my beautiful friends. This is your wake up call with Maui Paul. I am Maui Paul. We are here today to say some nice things about ourselves. Happy Friday, everybody. We made it. We made it through another week. And I am really excited to work with you guys today to pull another card off the top of my IM deck. We're going to do the same thing we do every Friday. I'm going to pull a card off the deck. I'm going to ask you if you are the affirmation on the card, and we are going to respond out loud together. I am that affirmation. After we do that, we're going to write it down in the comments, and then we're going to go through all the cards for this week and see how we got here. After that, we're going to close it out and go about our days in a more empowered way. So let's have some fun. Let's pull a card and then say that today I am extraordinary. I am extraordinary. I transcend expectations and live authentically. So I am extraordinary. I transcend expectations and live authentically. Are you extraordinary? You are extraordinary. You transcend expectations and live authentically. I'm going to write that down in the comments, and I encourage you guys to do the same thing. So I'm going to say that I transcend expectations and live authentically. Indeed, I am extraordinary. I am an extraordinary person, and so are you. The meaning of the word is right there in the word. Extraordinary means outside of the ordinary. Indeed, just as you have to say, Dan, you are extraordinary. It does cover all good and bad. It just means that we are that we are outside, or that we are that we go past whatever the expectations are. Not just the expectations that others have for us, the expectations that we have for ourselves, the expectations that society has for us. The fact is that as we continue to affirm these amazing things about ourselves, that it allows us to live outside of the ordinary. The ordinary just being whatever that 50th percentile choice is that most people make. Well, we are empowered to make choices that are outside of that. And in the end, when I've looked at life and when I've looked at the way that most people live, I realize that in many cases, the choices that most people make are a good choice. And it's good to do those things. But sometimes it's important to make a different choice. And it's those different choices that lead to different results that ultimately get us to different places in life that we otherwise never would have gotten to. So I am extraordinary today, and I embrace that. I embrace the fact that some of the choices that I'm going to make today are far outside of the ordinary, far outside the choices that everybody else is making around me, or that most of the people are making by default. I have a friend who is very much into alternative lifestyles, and he refers to life itself as society markets it to us as life on default settings. He says that when we live life on the default settings, we're going to get what everybody else gets because we're doing what everybody else does. He's like, and it doesn't take all that much. You don't need to radically change your life in order to get completely different results. Just a little bit of it. And so he says, he was talking to me about it, and he was saying that actually at the time I was down in Costa Rica, and which is where I met this guy. But he said, you've made a one radically different choice, and that's why you're getting radically different results. And it was true at the time. I was living down in Costa Rica, and I was doing things very differently than the way that all of my peers were. He said, but the fact is that there were still a lot of things that I was doing exactly the same. It's just that I was doing them in a totally different place than my peers were, and therefore I was getting totally different results, for better or worse, but totally different. And so as I transcended those expectations, it allowed me to live authentically. I feel like I found my authentic self as I was living down there. And that I really discovered what it was that made me tick. And that has served me very well. Those awarenesses have served me very well through life. So I am extraordinary today. You are extraordinary as well. And we transcend expectations and live authentically. So today, let's make sure that the choices that we're making are choices that are in line with our values. They're in line with in line with the things that we think are most important. And if they're a little bit different than the ones that the folks around us are making, that's okay, because ultimately it is the choices that we make that are different that are going to give us that outsized level of leverage in our lives to completely change things up and make them really awesome. So I'm extraordinary today. You are extraordinary too. And we transcend expectations and live authentically. Let's say good morning to everybody who's come on by today. Good morning, Pepper. Pepper is over there moderating the Twitch stream. Thank you, Pepper. Good morning, Jan, coming from her nest in paradise. Good morning, Dan, coming in from Buford. Good morning, Shauna. I know that you're up at your house, not too far away from us. Let's see here. Yeah. So in the end, yeah, we are extraordinary people. We are going to make choices today that are different than the choices that we would ordinarily, or than the people around us would ordinarily make, and therefore we're going to end up in completely different places. It's important to note that as we make these different choices, that to the degree that they are different from the folks around us, to that degree, we're going to need to be more intentional about the way that we live, because when we make a choice that's made by everybody, or that's the same as the one made by everybody, then there's a whole lot of social support for that choice. When we make choices that are different, we need to figure out our own support networks. We need to have our own boundaries and our own communications very clear, because when we make different choices, we are beginning to trod a not quite as well worn path. And so when we make different choices and when we choose to live in an extraordinary way, other people who also live in extraordinary ways will gravitate toward us and become that support network. And then ultimately, all the folks who are in the world doing life a bit differently than on the default settings will find each other and will support each other, because only we will really understand the challenges associated with making these different choices. So I'm extraordinary. You are extraordinary too. And we transcend expectations and live authentically. So it being Friday, let's go through the cards for the day and see how the whole week shook out. I mean, today we affirm that we are extraordinary, and one of the reasons that we can transcend those expectations is because we are hopeful, that we trust in the best possible outcome, which is what we affirmed on Thursday. Of course, it's much easier to be hopeful and to trust in the best possible outcome when we are passionate, when we fervently pursue what we love, which was our card for Wednesday. And how can we fervently pursue what we love? How could we be passionate about anything except that we are imaginative, that we can create ideal situations in our minds, that when faith and fear are both competing for our attention, that we choose faith and not fear. And that imagination is something that is that is a tool that we get to really harness because we are radiant, that we exude positivity and brightness, which was our card for Monday. So on Monday we affirm that we are radiant, and that radiance allows us to be imaginative, and that imagination permits us to have some hope, and that hopefulness it's basically sends us over to a place where we can be extraordinary and transcend those expectations and live authentically. And in the end, we will end up as awesome people. So let's recognize our inherent value and worth. All right, guys, my beautiful friends, I will return tomorrow at 9 a.m. And as I do that, then we will yeah, I'm sorry, I will return not tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'll return tomorrow at 11 a.m. So tomorrow is Awesome Saturday, and I'm going to run another Awesome Saturday service. The topic for tomorrow is going to be magic words. I'm going to start talking about some of the magic words, words that we say that we don't pay all that much attention to in our daily lives, but which have an outsized effect on the course of our lives. So I'm very excited to introduce the very first magic word tomorrow at 11 a.m. at the Awesome Saturday service. So anyways, on the Awesome Saturday service and on Awesome Saturday in general, we're going to talk about how we are awesome. And so let's recognize our inherent value and worth. And today we do that by being extraordinary, by transcending expectations and living authentically. All right, guys. So that was the wake up call for this morning. I want to say thank you so much for being here. It is always wonderful to just come together with my friends. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow at 11 a.m. We'll be having the awesome Saturday service together, and then of course on Monday at 9 a.m. we'll have another wake up call, as we do every morning, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Until that point, this is your daily reminder that I love you and that I care about you and that I believe in you and that I think that you are fully capable of living an extraordinary life. And I know it's true because you are currently living an extraordinary life. You're currently making amazing choices that are sometimes very different than the one that the world around you makes. And in doing so, you get to be part of my support network of folks who are living extraordinary lives. And just as I hope that I could be a part of yours. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. Until then, I love you and care about you. Aloha from paradise.